I want to introduce a website called Zooburst to you. It is a really good tool that um, enables students to make these 3D pop-up books. But before they go onto Zooburst, they actually need to write the story first. So here I have an example of a student's story called the Houdini box. So they did this in English class, and when they come to me in IT, this was already completed. The first step I told students to do is to read over their story. And since the Zooburst book will have 5 pages only, they need to break up the story into 5 parts so that the text could go onto 5 pages. So for example, this is my story, and what I suggest students to do is to highlight the parts that would go on one page. So for example, this would go on page 1. This would go on maybe page 2. And last one would be page 5. So I also suggested that they don't break up the middle of the conversation to go on different pages, that each page should have, the same action, or try their best to have their same action or at least the same scene, so it's easier for them to incorporate the pictures. So when they're finished, I'm going to move this to the side. I've already logged into my Zooburst account. I'm going to go to my books. And these are all the ones that I've made previously or shown students as examples. I'm going to go into a new book, titled My Houdini Box, and I always tell them to add their name at the back. Okay, everyone can see the book. Yes, click Save. Okay, so if you scroll to the bottom, there should be an arrow symbol. That means to create a new page. So first thing I tell them to do is to add the pages. So there are 5 in total. Okay. If you're doing a book on your own, then obviously you can create more pages than you like. Page narration, this is when I tell them to go back to their story and to copy and paste their story onto the page narration. So this is page 1, page 2, copy. Okay, make sure they save the work. So I'm not gonna do it to the rest of the pages. You probably get the idea. Next step is to add images. Okay, so if you take a look at this book, you can rotate it so you can add things in the middle ground, foreground, and background. So for instance, I'm gonna click, maybe you can search for a picture, rabbit, and by clicking on the image, it will appear on the book. So you can move it back, move it forward, and you can also tilt the pop-up angle. I think it's better if it's a little bit tilted, so not everything on the page is very rigid and straight. So I'm going to tilt it a little bit. Another thing you can do is to add the background. You see here there's an icon for book and background. So if you click onto the background, if you type forest, you can see that there are some pictures for forests. If you click onto this background button, it will appear at the back, and it's a little bit blurry, so you can switch the blurriness. So I'm just going to add some. So try to have more than one image so that it's really like the background of a picture. Okay, so here's the sun. You can even add a village. Okay, maybe something like that. So blurriness. Okay, you can also rotate it to make it fit on your page. Okay, next, this is another tool that I really like. It's a drawing tool, and kids can draw pictures that are not found on the website. So I could just quickly draw a tree. Okay. Tree. Okay, when you're finished, you can click on this button, Save, and it will appear on the left-hand side. And you can add, so make sure you change it from the background to the book. You add it to your page just like this. change the pop-up angle. Okay. And I always remind students to make sure that the page doesn't just have all the pictures at the front. Okay, they can layer it so that it's more of a 3D book. Okay, so here is the first page of the book. Last thing you can do is to change the color of the ground. Okay, and when you're finished, just click Save. Okay, and if you go back to My Books, okay, let me see my Houdini box. I will view this one right here. Start up. You have to wait for it to load. There you go. Pretty cool, huh?